Greetings, everyone, on the SciFiction awesomeness. My name is Owen Cotter, and you're watching SciFiction. This is episode 69, if you're listening to this on SciFiction Radio and iHeartRadio for the Subspace Radio Network. Today, we have a guest coming on here shortly. His name is Derek Dykes. He's an author. He's a sci-fi guru, all kind of goodies coming up here shortly. We're going to go over a few news items before we start the broadcast. Let's see what we got here. We have all kind of stuff going on here. Right quick, we're going to go over CoastCon 49. This is CoastCon 49, and actually 46 is this year's anniversary, coming up in the Biloxi, Mississippi, on the Biloxi, Mississippi Gulf Coast. I'm actually going to switch some audio here. Hold on just a second. I want to get out of these headphones here. Hold on just a second, everybody. And we have the Intel Surround Smart microphone. Goodness. See if this works. Check. There it is. Awesomeness. Yeah, CoastCon 49 is going to be coming up this weekend. 46, rather. 46 in beautiful Biloxi, Mississippi at the Mississippi Gulf Coast Coliseum. For people that are not familiar with it, it's the Mississippi Gulf Coast largest running science fiction, fantasy, and gaming convention on the Gulf Coast. So if you're in the Mississippi area, the Gulfport, or near Mobile, or anywhere down there on the Gulf Coast area, feel free to check out the event. Got lots of great guests, all kind of goodies going on there. We'll go over here. This is one of the news reports they did recently. We've been sharing and promoting them as well. So you're sharing our appreciation. We've got all kind of goodies. There's going to be cosplay contests. There's going to be art auctions. There's going to be gaming and RPG and video games. You name it. It's all there. Here's their schedule. If you go to their Facebook, it's at CoastCon MS, stands for Mississippi. They'll have all the breakdown of like all the schedule, all the different stuff you need to find out. When you go to their website, it's coastcon.org. That's the website for the event. We will be down there all weekend long, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, covering and doing all kind of cool stuff there and enjoying the event. So come on down and say hi. We also got Gulf Coast gaming events will be there. It's going to be a lot of fun. You got some good guests, too. You've got Jake Stormrun from Mythica, and Outpost will be there. You got some great author guests, sci-fi guests. There's tons of authors and it's a lot of literary people there. So if you're into fantasy, sci-fi, horror, all that, they'll be there as well. Lots of good stuff. It's always a lot of fun. It's a really, really great event. So highly recommend checking that out. Bring up the screen here for a second. There, we're back. Let's see. Also news items on SciFiction. We got some trending news items going on. So I'm going to go over those just right quick here. We've got, there's a lot of news, about 7-8 items here. The Boys Season 4 gets a June release date on Prime Video. That's trending news. If you want to find out more about it, go to scifiction.com and you can read all about that news. Here's all the goodies here on that. And then if you go to, let's see here, there's a really cool game that's coming out called Pacific Drive. It's an atmospheric trek through a sci-fi version of Washington State. You want to find out more about that? Go to scifiction.com. Star Wars The Bad Batch Season 3 came out recently, and we have a review of the first 3 episodes on the site, so check that out as well. And our new anime writer, Austin, wrote a beautiful article about Floret's Eyes Song, balances convention experiments, kind of like a cyberpunk sci-fi Android AI takes over apocalypse. Pretty cool twist, though. Cool premise. So I really recommend checking that article out. It's a beautiful article he wrote on that. Let's see what else we got. We got original Star Wars Battlefront games to be re-released in a new bundle with extra features. So check those extra features out. And, of course, Marvel will be doing a DC crossover comics to be reprinted in a huge omnibus. Here's all the list of that. You can find all this news out at scifiction.com. There's all the goodies. I'm bringing this back to the full screen goodness here. I believe Derek is on the line here. Let me bring him on here. There's me. And there's Derek. Derek, how you doing there, man?
I'm good, Owen. How are you?
Doing pretty good. You hear me and see me, and we can hear and see you, hopefully.
I can hear you and see you.
Awesome. What you got looking forward to CoastCon? We were just talking about that earlier.
Oh, God, yes. It's the one time a year I get out.
Yeah.
So I'm very much looking forward to it.
That's awesome. Yeah, we're going to be coming down there all weekend long. We're going to bring all the goodies down there for everybody and have a blast, man. It's going to be fun. Going over all the highlights. I think they just released the schedule on their Facebook page as well.
Yep.
you're
I
going
got
to
a
be down
couple of
there.
good panels. So
Yeah. You're going to have panels. What's your panels about down there? What you going to be panels?
well, one of them's on 3D printing, of course,
Okay.
from the writers group, and I have to go look at the other two because it's been a long day and I'm not 20 anymore.
It's all good. It's all good. Well, you've got the panels. You've been doing a lot of 3D printing. Let's talk about that. What kind of stuff you do with that?
Pretty much everything. I've only been printing for about a year and a half.
Okay.
Um, it's one of those things of, Trek was my first love.
Mm-hmm.
One of my earliest memories is of watching Trek with my brother.
For sure.
So when I started into 3D printing, it's like, okay, let's learn this with a learning curve on something that I know what everything is supposed to look like.
Right.
So if it's wrong, I'm going to know.
Right.
I'm going to know how it's wrong. And it started off simple. Things like comm badges and, little things like that. Eventually, even before CoastCon last year, I had built up to hollow phasers that I could wire with electronics and, everything from that Cricket phaser to the Type 2. And I've expanded into, I've got Star Wars stuff. As a matter of fact, you might know from Jedi Survivor, BD1.
Oh, wow. There you go. That's awesome.
So,
man.
Yeah, this little guy's coming with me. So if you want to see him, he'll be there. And also, delving into some other things. Do you remember?
Oh,
the
Evil Dead. Oh, wow.
Everything's in here.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
So
very cool.
And you remember a video game, American McGee's Alice?
Vaguely. I don't remember that one.
Alice in Wonderland?
Okay, yeah. With the knife. Heck yeah, dude.
That's
very detailed, too.
Very detailed.
That's pretty cool.
And actually quite pointy. So you got to be careful, kids. But yeah, I've got a lot of stuff that I'm bringing. Some of it's bigger things like my droid friend here. Other things, I've got stuff that's just my smalls that, if you want a Horgon necklace to advertise that you're looking for Jamaharon for the weekend.
Do you do any Marvel stuff in DC as well? I believe you had some Marvel stuff.
I've got some Marvel and DC stuff. I always have to be very careful because I'm only going to do something that's got open creative licensing on it. And then I'm going to usually take a creative bent to it myself just to make sure that nobody gets upset.
Right.
So I don't have time for that.
Right.
But I've been taking on commissions lately.
Okay.
So if there's something that you wanted to see, come by the table, grab one of my cards. They look like Magic the Gathering cards, but they're not. So, and then stay in touch with me. Let me know what you want, and I'll see if I can make it for you.
Can't beat that. I know you did that super awesome Blade Runner blaster I got last year. That was amazing.
Thank you. You
got that beautiful box with the Tyrell Corporation on it.
I like doing packaging.
Yeah.
So a lot of the things that, even if it's just simple packaging, a lot of them will have something. Yeah. Because I think the person that's investing in what I'm doing, they deserve that experience.
True.
So if it's something that I can do and I have time to do it, I'm going to do it.
Very cool. You do a lot of novels, and you've got a publishing arm of your, which you do a lot of. What kind of stuff do you do with that?
I have 3 books that are out right now, and they are Madness, Mayhem, and Murder as part of a trilogy. Right. I've been working on a 4th book, which would be inspired by, so I don't have to make it part of a quadrilogy. Is that how you say that? Yeah. Anyway, but I haven't had a chance to finish that one yet. Hopefully it will be out by this summer. That was also my plan last year, so you know how that little birdie flies.
Right.
But I've got a couple of other anthologies in the works. Okay. Everything from Christian fiction to suspense thrillers and full-out horror stories.
Very cool. Very cool. So, like, these are all upcoming books you've got in the pipeline and stuff like that, or?
Yes, sir.
Very cool.
Yes, sir. I've got about 7 that are unfinished.
Oh, wow. But you've got some of these kind of in different levels of states of progress, I guess.
Exactly. There's some of them that are just an outline.
Mm.
I think there's 2 of them that are about 6 chapters scattered throughout the story.
Very cool.
Then the rest of them are in various stages of, all right, just sit down and finish it, dang it.
Right. Got to get on it. You like a lot of sci-fi stuff. What's some? I think like Star Trek you mentioned. What's some of your favorite like top 3 or 4 sci-fi things you enjoy?
I am one of those oddlings that I tend not to choose favorites because then I might miss something extraordinary.
Right.
However, obviously, Star Wars, Star Trek.
Mhm.
As a matter of fact, I've got one wall in my living room that is dedicated to Star Wars. I've got
Very
several master replicas lightsabers, which come in really handy if the
I
power
think they're
goes
cool
out.
too.
I have a bookcase that is filled with fandoms. My daughter used to call it the wall of knowledge. Um, and of course, there's Doctor Who. There's Trek. There's any of the old pop series
Right.
that I grew up with, like the old Batman, Adam West Batman and stuff
Burt
like
Ward.
that. All of that stuff's fantastic. It may look campy to us now, but if you actually can get past the idea that they were doing this essentially like a stage play,
Right.
you can get past that and look into some of the actual storylines.
Mhm.
Like old Doctor Who, those storylines are just as good as what they're putting out now.
Yeah.
In some cases, better. They just, they had about $5 and a cheese sandwich for a man in a rubber mask, and that was their budget. So,
The
what
stories
do
are
you
great.
do with that? You do
Right.
the best you can.
Right. Look at the old Tom Baker stories. There's some really great ones in that one.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Tom was, up until David Tennant, Tom was the favorite. And, I mean, I grew up watching all of them.
Mhm.
God bless Alabama Public Television, late night on a Saturday.
Yeah.
You flip it on the TV that your parents just bought you, and it's in black and white and fuzzy. And it's like, ooh, what is that? Sit up till 1 a.m. watching it.
Right. You got what's the UPN network used to be down there and had
Oh, yeah.
all
I
those
remember.
sci-fi shows they would create on that too.
Yeah. And sadly, I don't get to watch as much of the new stuff. I hear that the CW has some very interesting shows, but time has simply not permitted. So
There's a lot of
maybe
stuff.
one
Some
day
of
when
some
I'm
of it's okay.
retired,
Right.
if
Some
I
of it's
ever
not good
slow
as
down,
others. Right. Some of it's okay. Some of it's better than others. I mean, I was watching.
that's anything.
Yeah, there's some good shows on there though. I was watching. What is it called? Some of the old shows. I was watching. Sliders was a good one. That was a good one. That
Oh,
sci-fi
Sliders was excellent, and
Yeah.
it always something new, which of course was the point. But
all the episodic shows that like each adventure was a totally another story. Same thing with Star Trek too.
I'm loving the Strange New Worlds. That
I want
stuff's
to see what
fantastic.
happens in that end, the cliffhanger they had. When they're going to
Yep.
start the next film in that season 3 on that?
Yep, they are. They're filming it right now.
Oh, they are. Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Write that up on the site. But you've got a lot of sci-fi going on. You've got like Dune 2 comes out, I believe, this week. Are you going to go see it?
I'll be at CoastCon,
Okay.
so I will see it sometime afterward, after I have recovered.
Right.
Because as the saying goes, I go there for 3 days, pretend like I'm still in my 20s, and then pay for it for the next week and a half.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, they've got a lot of stuff going on down there at CoastCon. What kind of things are you looking forward to beyond the panels? You're going to be on all that?
I always love the costume contest. The sheer level of creativity that people put into things. And I hate to say it this way, but especially the ones that don't spend much money and come out with something that just blows you away.
True.
There was one of my readers who has since become a friend of mine. And when she was first going to CoastCon, she got together a bunch of cardboard and paint and did a Lego Wonder Woman costume.
Nice.
And I think she won that year. It was fantastic. And just, the level of creativity from folks, it really comes out when you've got to stretch your dollars.
For sure. You go to a lot of conventions. That's my opinion. You said it's like one of the main ones you do each year. Or?
I used to.
What's the ones you used to go to? What's one of the main ones?
Well, obviously, I used to go to MobaCon.
Right.
But I was doing Mobicon back in the days before they reincorporated and did the last stretch of Moby, and now they've sold again. And I was doing Mobicon back in the days when the Silver Surfer was one of our logos. So 150 years ago, it feels like.
About 129,000 years ago.
Yeah, and let's see, there was the New Orleans Science, Fantasy, and Film Festival.
I remember that one.
Yeah, NASA.
I do. I know the abbreviation now. Okay, yeah.
Yep. But this was, again, back in the early 80s.
Okay.
And, that you do Pensacon. I've been to Dragon several years. I used to do a lot of work with the Stargate group there.
Okay.
One thing you might like, you're familiar with the game of Flux?
I've heard of it, yeah.
Okay. I made Stargate Flux cards.
Nice.
And made 3 boxes and gave one of them to the charity auction.
Very cool.
It did very well at the charity auction.
What did that thing go for, if you don't mind me asking?
It was around 500.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, anytime I can do something that's going to help out, I've got things I'm donating to charity this year. And that was, one of my first things is I've got charity stuff. I'm going to send it to you because I'm going to be busy setting up my table.
Is that connected with the auction or the art auction, or?
I think they tie it all together.
Okay.
I know that Coast. One of the things that I loved about Dragon Con was they always have a charity. And so it's not just us getting together to do the geeky, weird stuff that we love. It's also helping out people who really need help.
For sure.
And that was one of the things my daughter, she was 9 when she first went to Dragon Con.
Okay.
And I think that year our charity was the Lupus Foundation. And the group that I work with, not the whole convention, just the group that I work with, raised $28,000 for charity.
For that one weekend. Oh, wow.
For that one weekend. And my 9-year-old daughter told the person that interviewed her that she loved that we could all get together and do stuff together and have fun, but we're still helping people. And I have held that tight ever since, because out of the mouths of babes, as they say.
It's good stuff, man. Really good stuff. You've got a lot of events coming up. I mean, what's coming up on the Summer Gauntlet, too, in a few months? You've got, let's see, we go down. There's a lot of lists. I don't have the master list in front of me, but you've got San Diego Comic-Con. There's even one, I mentioned Star Trek, the Star Trek event out in Las Vegas, STLV 58-year mission.
I know. What I really want to do is I want to do the cruise.
Oh, I saw that. They just had one of them.
Just finished that.
Yeah.
And one of these days, when I have an extra 6K, it'll probably be more by then.
You got to get those.
And someone to watch my son for the weekend. I don't want to go.
Those cruises get pricey, man, unless you get multiple
They
people.
are, but it's also an extraordinary opportunity because pretty much everybody's there.
Yeah. Looked pretty cool. I saw some videos on different social media. They had like all the big stage on the main deck of the ship. The actors and panels going on out there, all kind of stuff. You had some of the actors from Picard. You had actors from pretty much every series were on that boat, it looked like. So
I saw one of Denise Crosby, Tasha Yar, being chased through the hallway by a man in a large black garbage bag.
Was that the Armis cost? I saw that.
Yep.
That was awesome.
Not beautiful,
she's like,
but perfect.
That's all, man. I remember that episode, man, when it aired. That was, man. She got killed like right there on the spot, man. I was like, quick in for a character. Then she came back as the Romulan.
Half Romulan.
Half Romulan, because she went through in yesterday's Enterprise, and then got on with the Romulan, and had a half daughter that looked just like her, or whatever.
Yep.
That was cool. That was a cool concept.
They did a really good job on that.
Yeah, that episode was one of the best episodes of Star Trek TNG, yesterday's Enterprise. One of them hit
that and the Inner Light.
Mm-hmm.
The one where Picard lives that whole life.
And that probe in space kind of takes him in there and gives you the whole 100 years of that civilization. That was super cool.
Yeah, that was just beautiful.
Did you watch a lot of Deep Space Nine too? Or?
I did, but the bad thing is when DS9 first started running, I was finishing up high school.
Okay.
So I was doing marching band and trying to set the VCR, and it was played on WEAR, our Channel 3 ABC affiliate. Right. And they kept moving the schedule without announcing. I would get hours of videotape saying, instead of our regularly scheduled program, here's this piece of flotsam you don't want to record.
Right.
So it took me some time to actually watch DS9 in full.
Right.
But I think I can safely say that I have watched every episode to date of every Star Trek series, including the animateds.
Oh, cool.
Of course,
Voyager's pretty cool, man. I was watching an episode of Voyager the other night. It was awesome.
I love Voyager. And, the funny thing is my special needs son, he's nonverbal, but he will sit and watch Voyager.
Oh, it's action packed.
When an episode ends, he'll stand up and bring you the remote so you can go start another one.
Yeah, the one I was watching tonight was the one where I think they woke up all these people on this planet had been bombarded and they're on cryostasis.
And they turned out to be the bad guys from 900 years before.
Yeah, 900 years. Yeah.
Yep.
It's a great episode, man. Like the big space battle at the end when they're flying out and trying to escape the planet and all that. It was awesome. I forgot how detailed all that stuff was. I mean, space battles in that show were pretty legit for back in the early 90s.
Well, and they were just starting with the CGI. So the first couple of seasons of Voyager,
right,
the ship herself was a practical model.
Right.
But then they built the CGI model based off of that. So starting, I believe, around season 3, you started seeing
that makes
CGI
sense.
models come in.
Jerry Ryan's character was in 7 to 9, and she came on a little later. Just probably in that time.
End of season 3, start of season 4.
Yep. This would have been in that era where she was, the CGI was just starting to kind of J-curve up into the show. That was good. Did you watch Enterprise? Did you like Enterprise?
I certainly did.
Enterprise was awesome, man.
Yep.
I like the one episode when they it was really getting good in that Xindi arc. But season 4 had some great episodes. Yeah, what was it? The Mirror Darkly Part 1.
The Mirror Darkly, 2-part episode. Awesome. Yeah, that was fantastic the way they tied it in to the original series.
And then what's the one where they had he time traveled back and the Nazis had taken over the U.S. The alien.
That was actually called Stormfront.
Stormfront. Yeah.
It was the end of the Xindi arc. Yeah. They just finished the Xindi arc, but they came back and they landed in that.
The alternate history.
That alternate, yep.
Yeah, that was
Carbon Creek is a really good episode too.
Is that the one with that's not the one with T'Pol when she was going back in time or whatever, right? Or her grandmother or whatever.
Telling the story of her second foremother, I believe.
Right, something like that.
That's how she
crashed landed on Earth or whatever.
They had crash landed in the 50s. Yeah.
Right.
And of course at the end he's don't tell me that's true. You just rewrote our whole history. All she says is, you just asked me to tell you a story.
Right.
She never tells them that it was
true. Is there somewhere they say there's somewhere where some guy buried with pointed ears?
So there's something wrong with this guy. I hope he never has to go to a hospital.
Right. That was a great episode. The Shuttle Pod 1 was pretty good.
Yeah.
And you had what was the other one? They had the one with well, the one where the Azadi Prime was the one where they blasted the ship apart and you see people just floating out in the space. And
yeah, I watched a clip of that the other day.
Yeah, that was a great episode. What about Star Wars? What kind of Star Wars stuff you been looking forward to watching? Any of that?
Everything that I can get my hands on.
Nice.
The only problem is that I have a long-standing run with my daughter that ever since she was a wee little bairn, it was Daddy sharing Star Wars with her. So she had seen enough Star Wars that by the age of 5, when she first saw Spaceballs, Uranus walks on screen and she just starts giggling. I'm like, what are you giggling about? She says, that little guy thinks he's Darth Vader. But so we've always tried to watch the Star Wars stuff together.
Right.
That gets exceedingly more difficult when they're grown.
Right.
And have jobs. And it's like now we're still trying to catch up together on Ahsoka. And we promised each other that we won't watch it until we can watch it together.
Right.
So I know I'm way behind on my Star Wars shows.
Yeah, they got Ahsoka was the last one I think they did. I think there'll be some new ones coming next.
Andor was excellent.
Man, that shit was
absolutely
awesome.
Loved Kenobi. And what I've seen of Ahsoka, I'm loving.
It gets pretty good there. I'm not gonna lie, it show's pretty good at the end there, especially. They left it where they can do more episodes.
Yeah.
I think Filoni's doing Heir to the Empire movie or something like that, isn't he?
That's kind of what the plans are, from my understanding. And sometimes I try real hard not to read ahead too much
Right.
because, one, since I'm behind, as River Song used to say, spoilers.
That's right.
And two, I, I want to be surprised.
Right.
We don't have enough of that, in my humble opinion.
Right.
We want to know what's going to happen before it happens. And it's like they come out and, oh, well, the president's going to make an announcement that says this. Well, you just one-upped him on it because you just told us.
Right.
And it's the same thing with our TV and our books and our pretty much everything. You can go out there and find out how it is.
Spoil the news, right?
Yeah.
We just found out a piece of news about 30 minutes ago that the first-person perspective Star Wars game has been canceled. So I don't know what that's about. We'll have an article about it on SciFiction.com probably next day or so.
Well, then I'll have to go read it.
You read it up, man. Be good stuff. So you've got Star Trek, Star Wars. You ever watch any Battlestar?
Actually, yeah, I watched both the original series from late 70s, early 80s, and of course the reboot in 2005. And now they're saying they're going to reboot it again.
Right, correct.
And it's like, leave it alone. Do new stuff. It was done beautifully.
Yeah, Ronald D. Moore owned that. That was awesome.
It's no longer socially irrelevant like the original stuff was.
Right.
So just leave it. It's like, oh, we're remaking The Crow. No,
I know that. Wow.
Yeah.
But did you see the was it to get the Crow? I didn't even know about that. But the Battlestar Galactica, they actually the fan group out there has a new fan film called Stranded Warrior that my buddies are working on. They have the Interfleet broadcast. Have you seen the trailer for that or any stuff like that?
I haven't, but now I'm going to go look for it.
Yeah, it's on. If you go to, I think they've got some information about that on the IFB, which is Interfleet Broadcasting. There's some buddies of mine, New York Pete and Chris. They have this channel on there where they basically it's centered around Battlestar, but all things sci-fi and beyond included. So they have everybody from you even had Glenn Larson's son on there. He was on there. You have actors, people write the comic books, you name it. Everybody's been on there. But they have this movie called The Stranded Warrior that they're putting together. It looks pretty cool. It's homage to like the 1970s version instead of the 2000 version or whatever. But the cool thing about what I was going to mention, Ronald D. Moore did Battlestar, has a show he did recently called For All Mankind that just aired season 4. You need to check that out. That show is amazing. I mean, wow. Starts off with an alternate version of the history of NASA where the Russians land on the moon. Instead of, they just can pushes the space race, keeps pushing it to the edge. So, like, starts off in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. Now we're off season 4 is like in the early 21st century. And you've got, it goes from like, the moon to, building like, I don't want to spoil, but there's a lot of stuff they build and create and ships and all kind of stuff. To where now, of course, if you've seen the trailer, the next season they're on Mars.
Okay.
So, and they've got the Mars,
next logical step. So.
Yeah. So you got Mars, the moon. It's pretty cool. They got a moon base in the first season, and they expand that out to like an even bigger base, and it's crazy, man. But you've got all the kind of like the geopolitical space tensions between the Russians, and then you got the cliffhanger is my funniest part was the first person to go to Mars. You have to watch the show, but it's hilarious because it's kind of like wow, we didn't know that. It's
I'll
great.
Definitely have to look into that.
It's good. It's on Apple TV, I believe that one. The other one I've been watching is the Monarch series, which is Kurt Russell's in it, him and his son. His son plays the younger version of him. It's basically in between the first Godzilla movie, I think with Bryan Cranston, or somewhere in between. It's a whole in between that story arc of what happened and how they, the Monarch people that basically have all the info on the monsters like the Godzilla and all the different creatures on Earth and all that. Which then, of course, rolls into this next movie. What they're going to have is the King Kong, Godzilla Exo. They basically team up to go against this Tiamat or whatever, this big giant thing they're going against. So it's all in that arc of that whole. It's based in that Godzilla universe. That's on Apple TV Plus. I highly recommend. That's an awesome show.
I've heard there's a lot of really good stuff on Apple TV.
Stuff. Yeah, Apple TV's got some Foundations on there. You've got. I haven't seen much of that one. I've been mostly watching those two recently, catching up on those. Yeah. Got those as well. What other? If you could go to any Comic-Con coming up in the next 6 months, or would like to see anything happen, or any news that's going on, what would you like to see?
that goes back to the I like to be surprised. I would like to see me getting my fourth one finished.
Right.
Uh, but, aside from my own personal plans, I'm always excited to see what they dig out of the woodwork.
Right.
Because, sometimes the old Marvel stuff, they're really reaching back into the lore.
Right.
Same thing with some of the DC stuff. They're just trying a little too hard, in my humble opinion. And I enjoy all of it. So I was
going to ask you about that.
More new things.
Right, the DC universes are getting a whole fresh start. What are your thoughts on that? There's a lot of stuff they've announced they're going to be doing with that universe.
I think that it's not a bad idea, but it's a little too soon.
Right.
They
kind of ended all the last people that were in the last ones.
It's like the last folks are still warming the seat.
Right.
So, here we're going to reboot again now. And I feel like the multiverse explanation has been abused.
Right.
Okay, well, we'll leave these here for now and hop off to Earth 595. Well, that's great and all, but we're still kind of interested in that storyline. Right. So
I was wanting to see Black Adam go against Superman. I guess I'll never see that now.
And now we won't see. Yeah. I heard Henry Cavill's doing a D&D movie.
He's doing Warhammer 40K.
Well, I knew, and that makes sense because he's been playing it since he was a child. But I thought I saw something about him signing on to a D&D movie.
I didn't know about
that. I could be mistaken.
I know they just did that one with Chris Pine in the Dungeons and Dragons when it came out last year. Yeah. I don't know about that. I have to check that out. They got all the. So you mentioned comic. Well, what kind of comics did you read? Like, what kind of comics are you interested in? Superhero wise or different ones?
I was actually working in a bookstore when the whole Death of Superman arc happened.
Oh, wow.
So, that was fun. And before that, I used to go to some of our local comics places and try to collect the entire series of Star Trek comics.
Oh, wow.
I even had some of
a lot of them there, too.
There was, and they got left in a house in one of my moves, and I saw them years later in a comic shop.
Really? Wow.
Yep. At that point, you just shake your head and chalk it up to these things happen.
One of the coolest Trek comics I ever read was the one where Lieutenant Shelby becomes a Borg. Have you seen that one?
I have, but there's one that's back in the original DC run that was even more entertaining for me.
What was that one?
It introduced me to Dante's Inferno.
Okay.
Because they're on the ship. They've got this telepath with them that's ends up starting to have seizures.
Oh, wow.
Guess what she's been reading?
What's that?
Dante's Inferno.
Dante's Inferno.
And she's a projecting telepath.
Oh, wow.
So that's all anybody can see. And as they go through the different circles of hell, they're working their way through the ship trying to get to where she is. Oh, wow. Because the only thing you saw on the bridge was a sign appear over the turbolift that said, "Abandon hope, all ye who enter here."
Oh, wow. Yeah. So as they go down the ship, they're living in hell. Oh, my God. Wow.
Yep. And that one had stuck in my mind for decades. It was really well done.
The Gold Key ones are pretty good. That's a wild art. I heard that
one. The art was all Italian art.
Yeah.
But a lot of the artists had never seen the show.
Right.
That led to some interesting art.
Art's amazing. I mean, amazing art. I got some back here, one or two of them here. But they got the art, like they never seen it, so they went really creative with the, it's like fine art, basically.
Yeah. They were beautiful. Yeah. And I don't know if it's still available, but there was a series put out on DVD-ROM about 13, 14 years ago that was scanned versions of all of the Trek comics from Gold Key number 1 up through what was current at the time.
Really? That's on CD-ROM, you said?
Yeah. Before DVDs even.
So can you still find that? Is it like right available? Like eBay or somebody has that? Or?
As with many things in my collection, I've not seen it around lately.
Man, they should remake that into a book or something like eBay.
Fantastic.
Be very cool.
I mean, that's essentially what this was an electronic version of all of the series.
That's super cool. You can flip through it and read it and everything.
Yep.
That's awesome. Was it in color, all the art and everything? Or?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
full color scans.
that's very cool. Very cool. I'll have to check that out. The CoastCon we just mentioned earlier in the broadcast is coming up March 1st to the 3rd. It's CoastCon 46 at the Mississippi Gulf Coast Convention's Coliseum, rather, in Biloxi, Mississippi. If anybody's out there listening here, it's episode 69 on Subspace Radio Network, iHeartRadio for SciFiction Radio. So if you're in the Gulfport, Biloxi, Mobile, anywhere down there, and you like sci-fi and beyond, please feel free to check it out. We'll be down there. Check the event out. Check us out. Check Derek out. He'll be down there with all kind of 3D goodies and novels and all kind of stuff. We'll be coming to you live down there and in person and everybody in between. Derek, do you have any signing words you like? Anything you like to shout out for people that come on down when they come to the event or in general?
Come see us. Come have fun, and let's do something for a good cause.
Very cool. Very cool. Do you know the charity for this year's event? I know it's the website's coastcon.org, I believe.
Yeah, I'll have to go look again because my mind is like a sieve with holes this big. But to me, it doesn't matter who the charity is. Somebody needs help.
For sure. And anybody want to check out that, find out more information on the event, the website is coastcon.org. Derek, I want to thank you so much for joining us today on the broadcast.
Thanks for having us. We appreciate you.
No problem. I'll see you soon this weekend, man.
Yes, sir.
Peace, man.